In 1812, Napoleon decided to attack Russia. And he knew that this was going to be a very dangerous mission. The Tsar had a huge peasant army, and the winter and the winds of Russia were going to be very difficult. And Napoleon went into the town of Volozhin, and the Russians knew that Napoleon was coming in, and all the Gentiles fled the city, and the wealthy people boarded up their doors. The Jews didn't leave, though. The Jews were divided whether Napoleon was going to be good for the Jews or not. Some people felt that Napoleon was going to be excellent for the Jews because they would be free citizens. Under Russia, they were considered Jews and not Russian citizens, and they had no rights. And they felt with Napoleon, they would finally have full rights. Other Jews felt that Napoleon was not going to be good for the Jews because even though they would have full rights, they would be forced to assimilate and forced to give up their way of life, and that they would be better off with the Russians, where they could continue with their way of life but not have full citizens. So most of the Jews were neutral in this area. So when Napoleon came in, the Jews didn't leave the town. So the only place where they really could stay was with the Jews. So Napoleon had one of his messengers go to the synagogue, and they saw there was a holy rabbi there, Chaim of Volozhin, who was the premier follower of the Vilna Gaon. And they saw him in there, and they said, Napoleon would like to speak to you. He hears that you're a miracle worker. He says, you must have me confused with Shner Zalman of Ledi. I am not a miracle worker. I just learned Torah. He says, let us speak with Napoleon. And they told Napoleon what he said. He says, I want to meet with him anyways. And they said, Napoleon would like to meet with you. So he met with Chaim of Volozhin, and Napoleon spoke with him, and Napoleon was extremely impressed with how brilliant Chaim of Volozhin was. And he says, I see you're not a miracle worker, but I see you're a very, very smart person. And I want you to tell me honestly, what are our chances of beating the Russians? Chaim of Volozhin didn't want to answer the question, and he looked away and just didn't really want to answer. He says, come on, you can tell me, please tell me. I'm not going to get mad at you. And Chaim of Volozhin said, I'd like to relate to you a story. There was a wealthy nobleman who had a carriage with 4 strong horses. They were amazing horses, and it was traveling in the road, and it was muddy, and one horse got stuck in the mud, and he pulled the other 4 horses in the mud, and then pulled the carriage and the rider in the mud, and this nobleman could not get out of the mud. Not that much later, a weak carriage came by with an old rider and 3 old skinny horses. And when one horse got in the mud, the rider whipped the horse, and it pulled in the other direction, and all 3 horses pulled out of the mud. And the nobleman screamed at him. He says, excuse me, how is it that I, who have the 4 finest horses and a great wagon, cannot get out of the mud, and your 3 little skinny horses are able to pull you out of the mud? And the wagon driver said to him, please tell me about your horses. He says, oh, I've got 4 of the most amazing horses. I have an Arabian horse. I have a Russian horse. I have a Czech horse. And I have a Persian horse. And these are the greatest 4 horses you can get. He says, that's the problem. He says, you see, my 3 horses come from the same stable, and they're like brothers. So when one gets into trouble, all of them pull together to help each other out. You have 4 horses that come from different parts of the world, so they don't work together, and they don't help each other out, and they get each other in trouble. And Chaim Volozhin stopped and let that thing sink into Napoleon. He said, it's true that the Tsar has a peasant army, but those peasants are like brothers, and they love their country. They love Mother Russia, and they are loyal to the Tsar, and they will fight to the death. Your soldiers may be the best, and they may be the best trained, but they come from different parts of the world. They come from different kingdoms. And they're not loyal to you. And the Russian army will be victorious. So what I feel remarkable about this story is the sensitivity in which how Chaim Volozhin related this to Napoleon, and how he was able to deliver the news in a very sensitive and gentle and indirect fashion. He could have just blurted out how the Russians were going to beat them, but he did it in a very sensitive way. And I think that is a lesson to learn, that when you give criticism, to try to do it indirectly.